Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ing. Joyce, we have the Oscar nominations hot off the presses.
This is the last fun day of the year because I do not like phase two. It's so boring. So it's over now.
It feels like it might be based on the overperformance of Everything Everywhere All at Once, which had 11 nominations, Joyce, to lead all movies, including unexpected citations in in score, song, and costumes. I believe we not at any of those right. I don't think.
No, but as I was telling you before we started recording, I was feeling an overperformance for it yesterday. So I put Stephanie Shu in, dropped Dolly DeLeon. So I got that completely right. And then I was like, I'll put it in sound. And then that's the one category it didn't get.
That was the one it didn't get in, but it got in all these other ones.
Yeah, because then I was like, costumes, I don't know. I don't know if they'll go for the Woman King. Because I was also thinking about dropping Viola Davis, which I guess I should have done. And so I didn't put it into costumes, everything everywhere into costumes either. But I would have never, I didn't legitimately think about putting everything everywhere into either of the music categories.
Same. So that was we'll talk about all this. There was it definitely overperformed. The other high nomination totals, not completely unexpected. Banshees of Inisherin and All Quiet on the Western Front with 9. And then I think Elvis had 8, I believe. And The Fabelmans 7, and Top Gun and Tar with 6. That was how it broke down.
Yeah. So
why don't we go through, Joyce? We'll go through our best picture. We'll go through all the categories and talk about how we did. You ended up with 78%, Joyce. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Not
I made some changes. So one of them I still got wrong, so it was a wash. Or two of them I still got wrong, I guess.
And I had 75%. I went down with the ship on my Hail Mary completely not happening. Martin McDonough snub plus
because you just hate him. He's your new Amanda Seyfried.
I put in Park Chan-wook, and I had Baz Luhrmann in there for director, and then I had we'll talk about this when we go through, but hilarious.
You need to filibuster about why you hate him so much when we get to
I mean, I already tried. I told you, I think there's a very reasonable explanation for why I didn't think he was going to get nominated, but also he got nominated, so it doesn't really matter. So Joyce, the best picture of the year for the 2023 Oscars, right? The nominees were, and I'm going to scroll because the Oscar website not the greatest here.
This is why you just go on Wikipedia, because it's all on a chart.
It was All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, Banshees, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun, Maverick, and then the last 2 spots went to Triangle of Sadness and Women Talking.
Triangle of Sadness, your favorite movie.
So we got 8 out of 10. I got 8 out of 10. You got 9 out of 10 then.
Yes, because I kept PJ nominee The Whale, which I'm fine keeping and getting wrong, honestly.
So The Whale was the big miss here. I think we all, going into this, I think when we were talking the other day, we were like, there's 9 set now, because All Quiet on the Western Front seemed pretty stable. The other 7 have been there all season. And then it was like Triangle, and then it was like The Whale and Triangle of Sadness, or Women Talking, or Babylon, or Black Panther, or RRR. Those were like the other options for 10. But as it turned out, The Whale missed. Triangle of Sadness in. Triangle of Sadness overperformed, and yet still didn't get a nomination for Dolly DeLeon, which I think is incredible. And Women Talking.
But it got the amount that most people were predicting for it anyway. It's just the swap with Ruben and Dolly. So,
and then Women Talking getting in there for Best Picture. Now we don't know the order, and who knows which ended up being the last one to get in. I think people are assuming it was like Women Talking because the others felt so safe. But there we go. Great nomination for Women Talking. Also got the adapted screenplay nomination for Sarah Polley.
Yes, but no score.
Shocking score omission, which actually maybe when we get there, we could talk about how that was the one where it felt like we've said all season, there are so many scores. And I just wonder if it was almost too competitive, and that's how we ended up with like some people missing and like Everything Everywhere overperforming there because it's their favorite movie, basically.
Well, this Woman Talking making it in by the skin of its teeth also means Frances McDormand has yet another Oscar nomination.
Pretty great.
So, and she's in the movie because she's a producer, but she's in the movie for like 15 seconds, basically. Mm-hmm. So
a lot of great nominations here. Steven Spielberg is, I think, his 13th nomination as a producer, I believe. Or 12th as a
Sure. Yeah.
producer. 12th as a producer, and then his 13th movie that he's directed that is a Best Picture nominee, I believe.
And then he's on his 9th Best Director nomination, which ties him for second with Martin Scorsese, just
And
behind William Wyler, 12. And
Mhm.
then he also got his first writing nomination.
Which is great. We'd love to see it. Tony Kushner, a 2-time nominee this year, Joyce, because he's a producer on The Fabelmans and a writer. Love to see it.
After his screenplay snub last year, he's like, I'm getting that producer credit this time.
He's got to get that second nomination, and he did this year. I mean, we're whatever. But Todd Field, a 3-time nominee this year for producing Tar, writing Tar, and directing Tar. Tom Cruise is an Oscar nominee for Top Gun, even though he didn't get a Best Actor nomination. Good job.
I mean, that was expected, so I don't know. Not news.
Not news, which is nice. Nothing here, Best Picture. I mean, I'm not surprised. Like we said, like all of this makes sense. Triangle of Sadness was definitely made sense as a nominee, and Women Talking getting in there is heartening, I feel like, because like it is a good movie. And while the tea leaves were kind of showing that it was going to get just left on the side of the road, it was not. So that's good.
Yeah, I'm very happy it made it in. It was not looking great for a really long time.
No.
And you know, it like just the fact that Riz Ahmed paused for an interminable amount of time before the last one. It's like, which one is it?
Well, what were you expecting? What were you expecting there at the end? Because you knew it was because they do it alphabetically. So what else would it have been? The Woman King?
No, it was not going to be the Woman King. I was like, it's either going to be The Whale or Woman Talking.
Right.
Because the penultimate one was Triangle of Sadness.
Right. That's right.
So
highly.
But then because like with The Whale already missed adapted screenplay, I was like, I don't think it will be The Whale, and it wasn't.
A brief word on the presentation. I loved it. I thought Riz Ahmed and Allison Williams were great. They knew all the names.
It was amazing. I'm very happy. I mean, we knew they were already bringing back the press conference format, and they had a good rapport. Not too many jokes, but enough, you know.
And I'll tell you what. Here's how you know Riz Ahmed and Allison Williams are great actors: is they were given some pre-scripted banter about Megan, the movie that Allison Williams is in and executive produced, as they said. It's a big hit here at the box office. And it was
Megan 2.0 coming in 2025. So
really bad banter, I thought. And they sold it great. Where Riz is like, is Megan here? And she was like, no, I told you she'll be fine. And it was like not good, but it was they did a great job selling it. And I was like, this is charming. They
go way back to Girls, so they know each other. It's great.
I was kind of surprised they didn't mention Girls for each of them or even reference it. But I was like, I don't think they shared. I'm trying to think of the finale there. I don't think they shared a lot of any scenes, right? In Girls?
Well, it doesn't matter. They were both on the same show.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't like connected on the show. Maybe they didn't even meet on the show. You don't know, right? I guess during the production.
But they're both Girls alums, which is what matters.
Love to see it. So that was Best Picture choice. I think right now I'm going to say Everything Everywhere would win, but we are not going to do our final picks yet, obviously, or any picks. But I'm like, gotta be the favorite with 11 nominations and how it performed.
Yeah, like I said last week, I think it is going to be The Guild Player. So I could see it losing PJ, but not really. Like maybe Top Gun could beat it PGA, but even if it wins PGA, I think Everything Everywhere could still win the Oscar. So
right. For Best Director choice, the nominees were Martin McDonagh, Daniel Kwan, and Daniel Scheinert, Steven Spielberg, Todd Field, and Ruben Östlund. So you got 4 out of the 5. You were on Edward Berger. We all were like, no one seems passionate about Edward Berger.
And this morning I was like, when I dropped Dolly for Stephanie, I was like, should I put in Ruben in director just to have another triangle nomination? Because like I still was not feeling Ed. Sorry to Ed.
Nobody was.
I should have done it, but then I was like, I'm making too many changes at 7:30 in the morning.
Nobody was feeling Edward, and I was like, part of the reason why I was like, obviously I didn't think Park Chan-wook was going to get nominated, though I did see people like tweet. I think Chris Tapley tweeted like he's like the directors I talked to. God knows who Chris Tapley knows, but he was like, oh, the filmmakers I talked
everyone
to.
on Netflix. So
whoever he knows, he was like the filmmakers I talked to who predicted like Paweł Pawlowski and Thomas Vinterberg are like now on Park Chan-wook for this year, and I was like, that's good enough for me. I'll put him in because like
you're so easily swayed. I mean,
I am easily swayed.
I would understand doing that maybe like 7 months ago, but Decision to Leave sadly just never took flight really.
No,
So
yeah,
that's the problem. And it wasn't like he wasn't really materializing anywhere else during the season. So I was like, I can't do him, even though he on paper fits the profile of like the highbrow international pick.
right.
So
And
that's why I was like leaning Ruben, even though he missed the BAFTA long list. So
then he got in. I don't know. Is there any real actual snubs here? I guess Baz Luhrmann would be made. I mean, I thought he would get in.
I didn't think he could do it after the DGA snub because he should have made DGA if
Right.
he well not want but like to you know boost his status as
Right.
a directing contender.
Uh,
But we all kind of knew that DJ nominee Joseph Kaczynski would miss here, sadly.
the other, I mean, obviously, and then a very popular post in the trades, Joyce, is that no women were nominated here, but I didn't think any
But
were
that was
seriously
expected after
in the race.
the last couple months.
Yeah. Sarah Polley not nominated, Gina Prince Bythewood not nominated as well, but it would have been honestly a major shock if either one of them got nominated, I think.
I mean, it would have been deserved nominations, to be clear,
Yes.
but it was just the way the tea leaves were reading. It was they were not going to happen.
No,
unfortunately.
not at all. I will say, again, it seems like most people would probably say the Daniels here are favored to win based on everything everywhere and how they've performed. I really think you can make a case for Todd Field, the way it performed in this nominations it got for Tar.
Tar also overperformed in a big way.
So
Because I really wanted to put it, like we talked about last week, I wanted to put it in both cinematography and editing, and I didn't do it.
so I had it in cinematography, which I went down with, and it got in not editing, but I was like, the way Tar performed, and I just think there's a world where he could win. I really do. I think he could win Best Director, and we'll see what happens at DGA, I guess. Maybe the Daniels are seemingly favored there, obviously, based on how the movies performed. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a real path for Todd Field to win. But we'll see.
So are you off of Steven?
I think Steven would probably be in third if I was going to rank them right now. I think I would have to put the Daniels in first just because like they're clearly the favorites at this moment. But I would put Todd in second and Steven Spielberg in third. Yeah.
I think Steven would still, he would need to win DGA, and even then I wouldn't be confident in predicting him for the Oscar.
I think I would agree as well. For Best Actor choice, the nominees
We got 5 for 5.
we got 5
After
for 5.
all that.
I mean, what else? Like, I didn't even nothing really to say. I think when we did the predictions on this, we spent about 2 minutes on it. And what are you gonna say?
Because there
Austin
was
Butler?
nothing, we were just defaulting to Paul. Congratulations to Paul Mescal. So
All of them are first-time nominees. It's Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Brendan Fraser, Paul Mescal, and Bill Nye.
yeah, the last time it was all first-time nominees here was at the 7th Oscars, I believe, for pretty obvious reasons because it was early days. So not many previous nominees when you're that young.
So I think going into like last week when we after the Whale surprising PGA nomination and then did really well at BAFTA, let's say, because I think it got 4 out of 4 that it could have gotten in. I think Brendan Fraser was like an reascendant prediction for Best Actor to win. But now that the
Did
Whale
you put
missed,
him into first?
I didn't put him into first, but I'm also like, or maybe I did, but it doesn't really matter based on the nominations. But I'm like, I don't think he's in first based on how the Whale performed. I guess we'll see.
I did not. I know people moved him into first. I didn't put him into first. I did have Austin in first.
And so I mean, Austin and Colin definitely are in the stronger movies, and they're both the Best Picture nominees. So,
yeah.
Brendan maybe still is in third, and I think if the Whale would have gotten that Best Picture nomination, that would have been a better sign for him.
Yeah, because he needs to pull a Jeff Bridges.
Right.
So, and no offense to Brendan Fraser, but not exactly Jeff Bridges yet.
No, and it feels like just looking at this and like the way the Whale performed, and then when the way the season is played out, I would say it almost feels like here's your, like the nomination is the reward maybe for him, right? Like it obviously more than the Whale.
And then I was talking to someone about this a couple days ago. about whether or not we should be predicting the whale in picture and screenplay, because I was like, Darren Aronofsky's films tend to underperform at the Oscars. Like Black Swan did really well at BAFTA. I think got like 12 or 13 nominations, and I think only got 5 at the Oscars. And it happened again.
So I had the whale out all year after we saw it, and like the way it performed, like in screenplay too, even though it was high in our odds. I definitely had it out for a while, and then I just threw it back in after the PGA nomination and the BAFTA awards. But I should have just stuck to my guns maybe and just had it not in.
I think I would have kept it out, that even with the PGA nomination, if both of those categories or the bottom tier of Best Picture were a lot stronger.
Right.
Because it was just like, what do we put in here?
It kind of felt like it was people were defaulting to the whale because they obviously saw it because of Brendan and Hong Chow and like it was performing in that capacity. But no. So now I'm like, I don't know. I still think this should be a very competitive race all the way to the end, I would say, based on like how the other nominations.
So who do you think is winning SAG and BAFTA?
I still think Brendan could win SAG. I mean, I really do. And so I would probably put him in at SAG and then Colin at BAFTA. And then I still think Austin Butler could win at the Oscars. It just feels like the most Oscar-y performance of those three, but it would be great if Colin Farrell actually won, I think. I'll be rooting for Colin Farrell based on those performances.
Yeah, same. I mean, I want Colin to win, but I've never had Colin in first. The highest I've had him is second.
Right.
I don't think he'll win SAG. He can win BAFTA. BAFTA was also before SAG this year, so they wouldn't be copying SAG. And obviously Banshees did well over there. So I don't know, like if Austin won SAG and I mean, yeah, because like Austin can easily win SAG.
So if Austin wins SAG, then I think he'll win. I'm expecting Brendan to win SAG because it feels like the sentimental pick, and I just, for whatever reason, think SAG would be more amenable to that.
Yeah, and I could still see him losing with SAG because they're just a lot more basic.
Yes.
So, but then I don't know, like, so Austin winning with just the Globe then, if he doesn't win BAFTA.
Would be tough, but I mean, I do think it's like a 3-person race here. No offense to Bill Nye and Paul
It's
Mescal.
for sure. And Brendan took a hit today.
So I would put Brendan third out of third. I think I had Brendan third out of third until like last week, and then moved him up higher because of the way the whale performed at these other precursors. But now I'm back down as in the end. Should have stuck to my guns, as it turns out. But
that's why you need to sit with things and wait before.
I guess so.
You're just way too reckless.
Well, I mean, you had the whale in all those categories too. You just didn't move.
Yeah, but I didn't move Brendan first.
Right.
You, who after you saw She Said, immediately moved it to second.
I mean, She Said is better than, like I mentioned last week, better than all the best, like many of the Best Picture nominees. But alas, it got no nominations, not even adapted screenplay. This felt like, I guess overall, I feel like watching the nominations play out this morning, I was like, oh, it really is just like the Emmys where they have their faves and then they're not actually going to stray very far afield from those.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, thank God they don't have an unlimited ballot.
Right.
Here.
Right.
But that was also why I was just like, I'm going to do double noms for Everything Everywhere and Supporting Actress. It was like, they love this movie, so I'm just going to do it. And they, they both got in. So, and yeah, like those, like there are like hotel noms for that in those categories too. So yeah, I think, I mean, in that case in particular, I think they just love the movie in general. And then I think it's very top heavy this year too.
Right.
Like I think there's not a lot of like mid-tier stuff that people are passionate about. And then there's kind of like a drop off to more polarizing stuff or things that just completely flopped.
Yeah. And then like something like
even if they're good movies, but they flopped. And some are bad movies and they flopped.
Right. I mean, like I was thinking like for a lot of the like Paul Mescal lone acting nomination. We'll get to Brian Tyree Henry here in a minute, and like Ana de Armas as lone acting nominees. I feel like the three of them specifically were pushed forward by their incredible visibility, and also more so than some of these other movies, right? Or like, so like Woman King, like, would have been great to get in a couple of spots, but it felt like it wasn't as visible as these other three performers individually.
I think it was visible. Like
it.
they were campaigning that, like they had so many Q&As. Like Viola was everywhere, and obviously it was an early release, but I think like for whatever reason the industry just wasn't into it. Like we talked about this last week, like Michelle Williams having the stronger film and the industry just seemingly not responding to Woman King. Like it missed SAG Ensemble, which it should have gotten, and missed PGA, which it should have gotten.
Yeah.
So
Best Supporting Actor, Brendan Gleeson. Brian Tyree Henry, which I predicted. I had him in, Joyce. I went for it. I went down with the
I know,
ship.
we talked about this. I was like,
Great.
I can't do him because I want him to get in. So I'm
Loved it
not
so much. That was a real pleasant surprise. Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans, which I'm not surprised looking at it now in hindsight over Paul Dano, because it's a more broad performance, but I just didn't think the movie was liked enough to get him in for one scene. But obviously it was. Barry Keoghan for Banshees, and Keo Kwan, who's going to win for Everything Everywhere. So that's
Judd just Judi Denched Paul, basically.
He did. We were talking about who's the Judi Dench of this year, and it was Judd.
Yeah, he did get into Critics' Choice. But
with 6 nominees, I think.
Yeah.
So they got all of these.
But this so this I dropped Eddie because I was like, I can't go through with it, because I told myself for a whole damn year, I was like, he's gonna miss the Oscars. I was like, I can't predict him. So then I was like, who's gonna be the J.K. Simmons this year? Just like the easy, lazy check off. So I just did Brad Pitt.
Right.
But it was Judd Hirsch.
Yeah, I got 4 out of 5 then too. So you and I both got 4 out of 5, I guess.
Judd Hirsch. No, I got 3. Right?
Oh, you got 3.
Yeah, because I don't have Brian. Yeah.
Oh, right. Judd Hirsch, yeah, great. I mean, like I said, we talked about this the whole time. Paul Dano's performance is amazing, but it's very subtle and not really Oscar-y, I felt like, or like you'd have to actually pay attention. And in a movie that people seemingly were like respect but don't love, maybe that performance kind of gets a little pushed to the side. Whereas Judd Hirsch is coming out and like just exploding off the screen for 10 minutes, and it's the thing people are leaving the movie talking about. And so I'm not necessarily surprised he got in, I guess.
It's also funny because, you know, like way back when The Fabelmans was the presumed double nomination film here, way before Banshees was. So, and then Paul Dano and Brian were similar in that these are, you know, two, you know, very respected, beloved, hardworking actors who's worked with a ton of people over the years. And it seemed like people were waiting for the right moment to nominate them. And Paul obviously has a stronger film than Brian does. Like he's the lone nominee here. But yeah, it just like he just doesn't have the passion. I don't even know if there's passion for Judd's performance, but it's more memorable.
I think there's more, it's definitely more memorable, so that helps from a passion standpoint. I think I would wonder, like, do you think, I don't think it's possible because like obviously the Batman wasn't a big hit, but do you think there's any world where like the fact that he was also in the Batman for Paul like kind of like slightly dinged him? Do you think anybody was like, oh, I want to vote for him for Riddler?
Who the hell would care about that? What the fuck?
I mean, more people saw it, so like I would imagine even in the Academy more people saw it than the Fabelmans. But
I don't understand how your brain works.
What do you mean?
But like, why would that hurt him?
Well, because maybe he like split his vote. Is it possible that just?
But Barry was also in the Batman for a hot minute.
Right, but not credited. I just feel like, is it possible that if it's who knows, because they don't really release the vote totals.
Well, I don't think anyone was nominating him for the Batman. I'll put it that way.
Right. I guess that's fair. But anyway, like you said, we're not really going to talk about this one that much because Keo Kwan will win, probably.
Yeah. Probably like never again until our final predictions. We know what's happening here. Congratulations to all the nominees.
It's an honor to be nominated, Joyce. Best Actress, the nominees were Cate Blanchett for Tar, Ana de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think we both got 3 out of 5 here, Joyce.
Yes. Yeah, well, we were talking about how it was a coin flip between Michelle, or maybe it wasn't, Michelle
Who
Williams
knows?
and Viola Davis. And then because Michelle had the stronger movie. So she survived the SAG snub and the BAFTA half juried snub.
Yes.
And she also survived pundits' predictions of her in supporting.
A lot of the top pundits, Joyce, the top men in this racket had Michelle Williams in Best Supporting Actress, and they were wrong. She did not get in for Best Supporting Actress, which I think you and we said last week when we did our predictions. That felt like the least likely thing that would ever happen. Compared for the other,
Yes.
for the 3 outcomes for Michelle, it was snub, Best Actress, and then way down the list, Best Supporting Actress, and that maybe bared fruit, obviously, because she got in for Best Actress. So,
yeah, and then Andrea Riseborough.
So Andrea Riseborough,
we did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. Francis
Fisher has Instagrammed her reaction, and I think she's so overwhelmed that she just reposted Susan Blakely's post congratulating Andrea. So I feel like a lengthier post will be coming soon from Francis, but also maybe not the best look for her, since she repeatedly said that Viola Davis and then later Danielle Deadwyler were locked for nominations, along with Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett.
So Anna de Armas got in, like we said, because it seemed like the industry really did enjoy that performance, or respected it at least, even though film Twitter hated the movie. And then Michelle Williams gets in, perhaps by the skin of her teeth, but in a stronger movie than Viola Davis and Danielle Deadwyler and Margot Robbie. And then there's Andrea Riseborough with her 200 strong celebrity endorsements, let's say, to get her in.
You know, Mary McCormick opened her Rolodex.
Yes.
Called all her West Wing pals.
So
and
so
got those 218 votes, #1 votes you need.
That was it. She got the #1 votes. I mean, like, it was definitely a coordinated campaign, but good for them, because the movie, I don't even know what studio it was, Joyce. I got to be honest.
Momentum.
So not compared to something.
And also,
like,
I watched it last week. So
what you think?
Good performance. Yeah, it's a very old school indie film. It's like a total Sundance movie, really.
Right.
But good performance. Allison Janney, like very kind of like I, Tanya, Hillbilly Elegy tea there, but she has a good final scene. The ending is kind of too convenient, but I mean, you know, it's fine.
So I should watch it then. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, go watch it. Yeah. You should be a completist and see all the Best Actress nominees.
I mean, I will. I've seen all the other ones, so I'll watch To Leslie. Yeah, but so missing was Danielle Deadwyler, who we all kind of had in. That I would say is the biggest snub of this category, more so than Viola, probably, because like we had said, there's not as much maybe passion for the Woman King, and Viola felt like the fifth. It would have been like
it wasn't a #1,
like a Meryl Streep nomination for her here. So Danielle versus Andrea, people are pretty pressed about that snub, it seems, Joyce. Though I would say like Till definitely had the backing of MGM and Orion and Amazon, so seemingly much bigger machinery to get her a nomination than Momentum did for Andrea Riseborough.
Yeah, they definitely have money for the campaign, because the whole reason behind the To Leslie campaign was that Momentum has no money.
Correct.
So they just had to do like chain emails and chain Twitter posts and Instagram posts and everything.
It was grassroots in that it's definitely not organic, but it was targeted to the right people at the right time.
Yeah, no, it was completely calculated. But you know, good for them. Like they, you know, it's not against the rules. I understand why people are upset, but this was their gameplay and they pulled it off. So
it's definitely not against the rules, and it's definitely not anything anybody else wasn't doing, seemingly, right? Like we said, like everybody's campaigning for these, so they're doing it in different ways. The idea is to get
like
nomination.
Jamie Lee Curtis, like completely in your face. Like I don't care. Do whatever
No,
you want to do.
totally fine.
Like, you don't even need to campaign. I would never campaign because it's just way too much work, and I'm so lazy. I am so lazy.
And
I would just pull an Olivia Colman and just like hide in my house the whole time. But yeah, I think it was just such a like shock to people because it really did feel like it came out of nowhere because no one was talking about her at all. She just got Andrea, she just got the Spirit nomination back in like November.
Yep.
Right. And it was like, a combined field of 10 now. So and it wasn't like she was like getting regional nominations here or there, really. So it felt weird. I get it, but it's like you do what you need to do. So it's just another campaign, another way of campaigning, and it worked. And then with like Danielle, I think it's funny because even though like you said, like she's backed by Orion and UA, NGM, like that umbrella, after last year of the snubs for Lady Gaga and Lana Hyam, like maybe they're just not that great at pushing their contenders through because they also had Women Talking this year. Like, thank God they got the Best Picture nomination.
Yeah,
but like at one point, we thought it was getting double noms in supporting actress.
Yeah, definitely. They've not gotten a lot of nominations for their movies, right? Or their performances, at least. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that's Danielle's performance. I think like it's the film. I think is also like we've talked about. It has low visibility, and people might be less inclined to watch it when they have their screener pile in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going to be a lone nominee. So
I gotta say, once it missed, like when they did all of I had it in for song, you got in for Diane Moore, and you stuck to your guns. But then I was like, oh, that's great. And then I still expected Till to get in. But then when I saw the Everything Everywhere song got in, I was like, oh my God, what is happening here? So, but yeah, I was like, I think when it missed there, just again, it felt like she was going to be a lone nominee. And while there are lone nominees here, obviously Andrea Riseborough and Ana de Armas
last year.
And also right here, right? Like two of the 5 here are lone nominees. I think there was more passion for each of these performances than there was for Danielle's, right? Like, I guess even the end,
like we knew there was passion for Anna's performance, right. and yeah, like like this category is the least tied to Best Picture and even other nominations for your film.
And it just ended up being like there was not, Danielle's in the end did not have. We were talking like it felt like a big number one getter, but I think in the late season here, Anna and Andrea came in as a bigger number one getters, perhaps.
I don't even think like Anna came in last minute like Andrea did. It's like I think she's always been quietly
right. That's
having
true.
Like she's always had that support. It was just that film Twitter does not like this movie. Most audiences are repulsed by this movie. And I think people were anti-dicting it because they didn't want this movie to be acknowledged because they hate it so much, even though her performance is great in the movie. And however the movie turned out, it's through no fault of hers.
It's funny too, because like when you talk to people who don't even people who are media people, Joyce, who don't pay attention to this as much as like we do. When I was mentioning Ana de Armas, even like last week, it was like, oh, well, she'll definitely get nominated. Like we all we expected at least. They were just shocked. The person I was talking to, he was like, what? Ana de Armas? No one's even talking about that. I'm like, yeah, no, it's like just they're not talking about it because they don't like the movie. On film,
they're anti-dicting her. Yeah.
In real life, it is actually happening. So it's always fun. How this
works.
Like
she hit. I mean, we already saw signs of that because she had the international support because she made London Critics.
Right.
And then I was thinking also when I was predicting her for the BAFTAs like 2 weeks ago or whatever, like she made the long list last year for No Time to Die, a movie I've never seen, obviously. So they like her.
I would say for her and Brian Tyree Henry, I think they're in the same boat. Two really popular performers who people have been waiting to nominate for something. And this year they were able to do so.
Do you think she was, even though she's not in the movie, helped by Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery?
No,
Like, it's like people are reminded that like, oh, she's in the first one, and I like the first one.
I don't think so. But I do think the fact that she was in No Time to Die last year and had like a lot of press over the last like 2 years had helped her like kind of get here for this. And like we said, playing a real life figure, and especially in Best Actress, always feels like
She's nominated against another Oscar nominee for Marilyn Monroe, Michelle Williams.
Yes.
So
For supporting actress, Joyce, we mentioned this before, but Angela Bassett, Hong Chow, Kerry Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Stephanie Sue. I went against Jamie Lee Curtis. I just dropped her out at the end and put Dolly DeLeon in, but I should have just kept her in because I knew they loved Everything Everywhere. So that was wrong.
yeah, this yeah, I got 5 out of 5 because I put in Stephanie. So I don't know, nothing really to say here. Congratulations to Angela.
It does feel like Angela Bassett will win an
She's
Oscar.
the first yeah, she's the first actor to be nominated for an MCU film, and it's gonna be the first one to win.
So when we first saw this, you and I both were like, the movie's fine. I think I think it ended up with how many nominations? 5 or 6 this year. I think 5.
5.
And so it missed Best Picture, which would have been a 6, but it had
Did
like
you keep it in Best Picture?
I did, because I really thought it would have like a lot of support, and it did have 5 nominations, almost as much as like it could have gotten in for Best Picture. It would have been like 6, like Top Gun. It kind of had like a similar path, I'd argue. But when we both saw it, I'll just speak for me. I was like, I saw people like saying like Angela Bassett, definitely an Oscar nominee. And I remember thinking like, that is nuts. Like, I don't think so at all. Just straight up. I was like, watching the movie, I didn't think she was bad. It just was like,
I felt the same way. No, we talked about this way back in November. It was like, it was a great Angela Bassett performance. And I don't mean any shade at all.
Yeah.
That she can do in her sleep.
And I was like, it didn't even occur to me while watching it that it was like going to be an Oscar nomination.
And yeah, it was the same thing with me, because like they're like, the social embargo had already lifted before our screening, and people were like praising her, but it was also just like, people are always like, on a screening high, and they want to be the first one to like tweet about a movie and get their likes and retweets, and then like make these declarative statements about things that will happen in awards races. So I was like, okay, whatever. And like, I never expected her to be bad. She was great, but it was just kind of like, okay, like, would I nominate her for this? Probably not.
So I thought the same thing. And I'm like, I know I'm a hack, right? And like, everybody thinks I'm an idiot, but I was like, oh, like there's no, like, a lot of people out of that screening, you're right, we're like, she's gonna win. And I was just like, some of those people do that a lot about everybody, more so than even me, I would argue. And I was just I'm just very surprised it's turned out this way. I think she's obviously helped by the fact that she's Angela Bassett, and the narrative is incredible, the performance is good, and the fact is, like, at that time we were still expecting maybe double women talking here, maybe like, a lot of other performers, and it just felt like, as everyone else fell off, she seems like the most obvious pick. I think Kerry Condon would have been a great winner here, but she just hasn't won anywhere, and that's like, it doesn't really seem like it has taken flight.
She has the most critics awards per Metacritic scorecard, which mean nothing,
right?
But like, she does. Yeah, so like, even my regular friends who've seen Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, like, I've asked them, like, would you nominate Angela Bassett for an Oscar? And they're like, what? No.
It's pretty wild.
It's like, again, they don't think she's bad. It was just a very good Angela Bassett performance. But no, like, I agree. I think it's the circumstances for her path to winning now, they are so specific, and like, these variables just happen to perfectly line up for her, because her arc in this movie would be completely different had Chadwick Boseman not died.
Mm-hmm.
And they made the sequel that they were originally planning to make.
Well, how do you mean? Because I thought she was going to like.
But I mean, like, because he died, there's like additional gravitas.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yes.
Like it's like the movie is different because he died.
It is like, different because he died. Yeah.
Like, Ryan Coogler rewrote the movie.
So
and then there's like, even if like the plot was gonna be exactly the same, even if he didn't change any of that, but he had died, I think like that is in the back of people's minds. Like even if like he was always going to kill T'Challa, like I think, you know, you just like you can't forget that, you know, and obviously, spoiler alert, if you have not seen the movie, she dies in the movie. So then there's that. And she dies protecting someone too. And then she has two, you know, Oscar clip scenes.
Yes. I interviewed.
And
Well, so I was gonna say,
so,
yeah, go ahead. You go first.
and then yeah, like we, you know, like assume that Women Talking could take up 2 spots here, you know, maybe just 1. And then, you know, way earlier last year, people thought Michelle Williams would be in here, and she's not.
It
So
is
that just
definitely
completely opened up the category,
right.
and we were having trouble like early in the fall, just kind of filling out the slots. Like everyone had like double Women Talking, and then it's like, oh, like is Everything Everywhere gonna get in here? And this was before Jamie Lee Curtis was like, I'm gonna campaign my ass off, you know. So I think it's that, and then like Carrie, who is amazing in Banshees and would be a great winner as well. You know, she obviously does not have the legendary status of Angela Bassett.
Right.
And like I said last week, I do think the Globes set her on this path, because even with her nominations at the Globes and Critics' Choice, I don't think anyone was legitimately thinking, oh, she will actually win. Like maybe they were thinking she'll get nominated, but once she won the Globe and gave that great speech, people were like, oh, you know what? Like, I want Angela Bassett to win, this legendary queen who has never won an Oscar.
Exactly right. And if you look at the category now, it's like Stephanie Sue and Kerry Condon are definitely welcome to the club, basically nominations. Hong Chow feels like we have seen you. It's like a Brian Tyree Henry
Like
type,
apology for
like
downsizing.
missed for downsizing, and also someone who has been on the cusp of like an Oscar nomination. And then Jamie Lee Curtis has the veteran nomination, but her narrative is usurped by Angela, even though she's in the stronger
Like
movie.
they're both the veterans and overdue in different ways.
Yes.
So.
I'm very excited. I mean, like it's great that Angela Bassett is going to win an Oscar, and I definitely think the Marvel movies in general should have Oscar winners. Like I still think like Michael B. Jordan should have probably won for the original Black Panther. He's so good in it. It's a great performance, but it's just amazing me that this is, of all the, like you said, it's definitely very clear when you like kind of lay it out how we got here. But of all the Marvel potential nominees, this is like, I feel like a little like I would have not expected it. I guess even last month, let's say, I would have not expected it to be so locked up.
No, like I mean, last month at this time, I think I was just predicting her for the SAG win, and like for her to still like possibly miss the Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think once again the Globe's so influential.
Yeah, well, I mean, like we
It
talked about
reminded everyone. It was like award her now.
the televised speeches matter. I mean, they really do. And if you believe, like people still like that could end up if Cate Blanchett loses to Michelle Yeoh, there will be people who are like Cate Blanchett's speech at the Critics' Choice Awards that was watched by less than 1 million people will have cost her an Oscar because they found her ungrateful, even though I don't think
but you know what?
was.
Cate Blanchett shouted out Andrea Riseborough, so she got her that nomination.
She did. So let's go. Adapted screenplay, Joyce. I think I got 3 out of the 5 here, but I'm so absolutely thrilled. I was dropping my daughter off at school and listening to nominations on the way home from school. I had it up on YouTube.
Were you driving while watching the nominations?
I wasn't watching it, but I was listening to it. So you could like it was live streaming on YouTube. So I was like, I didn't miss a thing, but I had it up on my like car play. And when they said Top Gun Maverick, I literally was like, fuck yes. I was so excited in the car.
Hands off the wheel.
Truly hands off the wheel like this. Hell yeah. But the nominees are all quiet. Glass Onion, Knives Out Mystery, which I was very pleased by because I do love the movie and Rian Johnson, so that was awesome. Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. What a great list of nominees.
Honestly, I have no issues with this lineup, truly. I do not.
So I was disappointed She Said didn't get nominated because I do think that was a great movie.
It would have, but like it honestly, it's okay. Like getting what we got here, I'm okay with it being snubbed.
Unreal. The Top Gun nomination is so fucking great. It's like
USC scripter nominee, Top Gun Maverick, now an Oscar nominee for its script.
So just an amazing nomination. And you look at the nominees, it's just great. Erin Kruger, who wrote one of my favorites. This is the first nomination for him as a screenwriter, but he wrote Arlington Road, Joyce, which I loved as a youth.
Of course you do. He also wrote what, like 3 Transformer movies?
And I think he wrote Scream 3 as well, which is the weakest of the Screams, but still.
That was the last Scream I saw in theaters.
Eric Warren Singer, who is a nominee for American Hustle with David O. Russell, even though I get the sense that David O. Russell completely rewrote that movie, and then they both were credited, though. Good for Eric Warren Singer. And then Christopher McQuarrie, a former Oscar winner, obviously, for Usual Suspects, nominated here as well, and as a Best Picture nominee for producing Top Gun. Just the best. I'm so thrilled by this nomination.
I am very happy with it, and I know some people are pressed and they think like the script is bad. I don't think it's bad, and we talked about this last week, so I'm not going to repeat myself, or maybe a couple weeks ago. But I think the script is great. Like it's really it's simplistic, but that's why it's good. Like it's so lean. There is no fat in it at all, and it sets up the stakes really well. And I think, you know, even though there are some scenes seem repetitive, I don't think they're repetitive in the way that a lot of the action scenes and stuff in Everything Everywhere are, because they're laying out the parameters of the mission. But every single scene with the mission class scenes, there's like an additional aspect to it. You know, it's like the time element and stuff, and like all these training stuff. And then it's just like, you know, when he goes rogue, Maverick goes rogue and does the run himself in 2:15 or less than 2:15. You know, I think it, like, step by step, it's constructed really well. And I think because it is so simple, people think it's bad and it's not worthy.
I will say, in this era of blockbuster movies and this like IP drenched era that we're in, this should be a screenplay that they actually teach people who are writing these movies, because the way, you're exactly right, the way it lays out the stakes of the story, the audience by the end of the movie, I think one of the reasons Top Gun Maverick has done so well and been such a phenomenon at the box office and so beloved by seemingly everyone who has seen it, is because of the way the storytelling is laid out in that script. You know exactly what's happening by the end of the movie. You could tell every single beat, and it is a great way to do it without it's not necessarily hand holding. It is just like the way they've told the story is really well thought out and planned out. And I'm sure that's like a Chris McQuarrie thing, just based on like how I've seen the Mission Impossible movies, because I think he's like really good at telling this kind of story. But it is just incredible. It's a really well done script. It really is. And I think like it's great that it got nominated.
And I think I've mentioned this before, but it does a really tricky thing that a lot of sequels and reboots and revivals have failed or struggled to do, and it's introducing the new gen and making you care about them when you, the OG fan of the original, just are in it for maybe the nostalgia and the original characters. But I cared about all these new pilots from the second they met at or we meet them at Jennifer Connelly's bar.
I loved Monica Barbaro, right?
Of Phoenix.
And I'm even watching it like I've seen it like 3 or 4 times, and even watching it like the last time when like her plane gets hit, and obviously they don't die, and this is a spoiler alert, but I don't care, because if you haven't seen Top Gun Maverick at this point, whatever. Wait,
you mean the bird strike?
When the bird strike happens and they like are gonna crash, I was like, with Bob, I'm so emotionally connected to those two characters. I was like, still, even like on the last time watching, like, oh no, I wish that didn't happen.
And like the thing is, like, so when I saw it, like even when Coyote went into like G-Lock, I never thought any of them were actually going to die. And even when Maverick gets shot down and you think he's dead and they're looking for him, I was like, they're not gonna kill him off. Like, but I really was like, invested in it. Like I didn't cry like you did, but I didn't cry that hard. But like I was like, I'm into it. So it makes it's hard to do with, you know, simplicity. So I'm happy it got in. And these other ones, like Glass Onion, I took out just to put in The Whale, but I'm happy to be wrong.
Same. I'm very excited that Glass Onion got. This is a great list of nominees. Like you said, I'm so excited Sarah Polley got in. She deserved to get nominated. It felt like it was maybe.
Her tweets are going to be amazing.
I'm hoping she could still win, though. I'm actually ready to make the case for Top Gun, to be perfectly honest. So get ready for that.
I had Sarah in here without Women Talking in Best Picture, but now that Women Talking is in Best Picture, I do think she can win. Although you would say like All Quiet is obviously stronger.
I think All Quiet is stronger, but I think you're exactly right. And based on the narrative and based on her specifically, I think she's such a winning personality. On like, I feel like in phase 2, she'll really be able to kind of flex in a way that some of these other movies would not. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like
Maybe,
she just,
she loves Top Gun Maverick, so maybe she'll vote for Top Gun Maverick and not herself.
I mean, who knows? I don't think so, but I would love for her to win, but like I said, I'll be ready to make the case for Top Gun. And I think the other nominees were expected, and
Yeah, I'm very happy Living got in. I think it could win the BAFTA. I don't know about the Oscar.
same. But there you go. For original screenplay, Joyce, we got all 5. It was Banshees, Everything Everywhere, The Fablemans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. I assume After Sun was 6th, but there you go.
Didn't you have After Sun?
I did, but I switched it to Triangle of Sadness because I was just like, it's obviously the stronger movie. Even though I didn't have it in for Best Picture, like, there's no way that After Sun was strong enough, especially after the BAFTA performance. I just felt like that was like a canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, After Sun should have performed better at BAFTA.
Right. So it made me think that it was a slight movie that got the Paul nomination and people really were passionate about, but not necessarily passionate enough to give it 2 nominations.
Yeah, and I would say, again, no shade to him. Like, he was lucky to get that nomination.
And then for this, like we mentioned, this is the Steven Spielberg's first screenwriting nomination, so that's awesome.
Are you going to do Banshees or Everything Everywhere?
I'm going to go Everything Everywhere. I just think it's going to steamroll. I definitely think it has I actually think it might have a better shot of the Daniels winning here than they do at Best Director, even though I think they could win both. But like I said, I think you could make a better case for Todd Field than I could for Martin McDonagh. I don't know. What do you think?
I think definitely if they want to reward originality, like they tend to do in screenplays categories a lot of times, then yes, Everything Everywhere.
Yeah.
But for strictly a script perspective, I would do Banshees. So I don't know. Again, I don't know if they even care about spreading the wealth. So like, obviously, like you said, like Everything Everywhere could easily just sweep all this, and it's going to win WGA because Banshees is ineligible there. WGA nomination is not out yet.
No,
we don't have ACE or WGA nominations yet. Amazing schedule. But yeah, and so like Martin, he's already an Oscar winner for short, but he did not win for 3 Billboards for his screenplay because he lost to Jordan Peele for Get Out. But I think in that case, it was like they wanted to award Jordan Peele, and that was the best place to do it because he was obviously not going to win Best Director because Guillermo was winning that. Right. And I don't know. And here, like, you could, if you do think this way, you could be like, I can give the Daniels Best Director and do Martin here if you do want to spread the wealth as a voter.
So I definitely have been in the years we've been doing this, Joyce. I've been thinking about this. We've talked about 3 cycles of Oscar nominations in the last 3 years, and I've always been the spread the wealth guy, and you've always been like they just vote for what they like. And now this year I'm like, you're absolutely. I just don't think they think that way. I think they're going to be like Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, they like what they like.
Yeah, they like the movie, and it is the most original. Like Martin McDonagh's, I think. You're right. It's probably a better script and certainly more memorable to me, though I know obviously Everything Everywhere has a lot of fans, but I think the dialogue is better in Martin McDonagh's script and the way he kind of creates those relationships and characters. But I could see you liking either of them. But the fact of the matter is, from an originality standpoint, Everything Everywhere is definitely more like Get Out in that aspect. And like Banshees is more like 3 Billboards in that it is still like a movie that people maybe have, quote, seen before, right? Like all his movies have like a Coen Brothers-y vibe to me. And it's like they're original screenplays, but they're not original ideas, let's say. And I think Everything Everywhere and Get Out are more original ideas. So I would not be surprised if Everything Everywhere just wins here.
It reminds me of Jojo Rabbit beating Little Woman, because I don't hate Jojo Rabbit like a lot of people do. I'm just like, it's whatever, it's fine. But that is the high concept script. And I think Little Woman, Greta's adaptation, is the better script and a better adaptation.
Definitely.
But it was so obvious that Jojo was winning.
Oh, yeah. For international film, Joyce, one surprise here, I guess, but we had 4. I had 4 out of the 5. I don't know if you did. But they were All Quiet on the Western Front. No kidding. Argentina, 1985, Close, EO, and The Quiet Girl. So I had Decision to Leave over EO, but we both put The Quiet Girl in after the BAFTAs, I believe.
Yeah, I also got 4 out of 5 because I was doing the close snub, just like at BAFTA. So I also had Decision to Leave in there.
Oh, and you had EO. I thought Close would get in because it makes people cry. So
yeah, we talked about this last week. It's like the basic pick. So,
and I would assume All Quiet is definitely the front runner here and feels like a great spot for it to win. We're among 9 nominations. It just seems like a no-brainer that would win.
Yes, I was like, I haven't actually, perused this closely, but I was like, what else can it win besides international? It has 9 nominations.
I think adapted screenplay it could easily win, but I do think Sarah Polley will end up pulling ahead there. But it is like the big book, like it's a acknowledged, like memorable book, right? Like
yes, it's a very famous novel.
So, for animated feature choice, the nominees were I got 4 out of 5 here as well. I think we all did, or most of us, you did too, probably. But Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell, Puss in Boots, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red. So I did not have The Sea Beast. I had something else, I believe.
I have Wendell and Wild.
I had My Father's Dragon.
I saw a lot of people predicting My Father's Dragon because of Cartoon Saloon's past success here, but I felt like it didn't have a lot of support, or the movie didn't have as much support as its past films this time around.
Yeah,
but it didn't matter because I got it wrong anyway. So.
I get the feeling that this one again was a number. There were 4 incredible locks, and then the 5th spot was The Sea Beast, probably, and it was a thin margin of error between whatever missed and The Sea Beast, I would argue, right? Because like it just seems like there wasn't a consensus 5 here, and so very slim margins could have made the difference.
Yes, but GTT gonna pick up another Oscar. So
let me ask you this: I think so too, but I would say Pinocchio very much underperformed. I was expecting 3 nominations, it got 1 because it missed both song and score. So is there a world where Marcel actually gets a win here, unlike the campaigning of A24?
I think just like his status will just push him over the edge.
Probably.
And it's like they all know who he is.
In the title.
He has Netflix. Yeah.
His name's in the title.
It's like Tyler Perry's Pinocchio. So
his name's right there. So it's easy to know that you're voting for Guillermo and everybody loves him, and you're right. But I do think it's closer this morning than I thought it was last night, based on the nominations.
I also don't think they think about this category too much in relation to the other categories, because I think a lot of them, I don't agree with this, but I think they see like animated and maybe like docs and international films as like others. Like some people feel like they should not be like Best Picture nominees because they have their quote unquote own category. So I don't think they think too much about whether or not it made score and song.
Right. Next up on my list, I have documentary. Those nominees were All That Breathes, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Navani. Now, I saw a lot of people predicting snubs for All the Beauty and the Bloodshed and Fire of Love. So if you did that, you lost because they both got in. But I got 4 out of 5 because I did not have House Made of Splinters here at all.
I didn't either. I kept Fire of Love because I feel like last year, Questlove and Summer of Soul, they defied the archival footage that this branch tends to hate. So I felt like Fire of Love could get in.
Yeah.
So that, and it did. So.
And this is another category where it felt like there were 4 lock nominees then, to me at least, even though I know people, like we said, were predicting snubs for Fire of Love and All the Beauty and the Bloodshed. But those felt like the 4 locks. And then the 5th spot, I think I had Descendant in there. I don't know. I think you had Territory, maybe?
I did have Territory, I guess.
So it feels like, again, there was probably a thin margin of error between the last spot and whatever, and those other movies. But yeah, we'll see what ends up winning here. I actually don't know. I mean, I could see Navani winning, honestly, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think most people probably go for All the Beauty.
Yeah. For cinematography, Joyce, this was a This was a shocker, I would say. I think I got 3 out of the 5.
This is the most shocking thing of the day for me.
Probably me too. The nominees were All Quiet on the Western Front, James Friend, Darius Kanji, Bardo, Mandy Walker for Elvis, only the 3rd woman ever nominated in this category, Roger Deakins, his 16th nomination, I believe, for Empire of Light, and then Florian Hoffmeister for Tar. You'll notice we did not say Top Gun Maverick and Claudio Miranda, who everyone expected would just win his Oscar here.
He's won. Let me go to Metacritic and see how many awards he's won. So, cinematography. Hold on, this is great. Oh my gosh, where are you? Cinematography. He has won, according to Metacritic, 21 awards this season so far. And the next closest is Hoyte van Hoytema for Nope with 5. So no Claudio Miranda, which we thought was one of the locked wins for the night.
Yes. Pretty shocking. So
I don't know, like, what do you think happened? Do you think people just assumed he would get in?
I think it's that. And I also think there was a lot of, like, I saw a couple of headlines recently where it was like people were the FX, like there was a split on how the FX were discussed. That it was like a lot of people were like, it's all real. And then they did like there's more special effects shots in Top Gun than any other movie, basically. And so I wonder if people were like Avatar didn't make it in here either, obviously. And like maybe some people thought
but that has been underperforming. So
it has.
Took that out a while ago.
And I took it out too, but I'm like, I wonder if they were dinged for the perception of having too much special effects from this branch.
I don't know. Think so, because it's not like that's been an issue with past nominees. I feel like maybe with Avatar's case, like maybe they're just kind of like over it after the first one. You know, it kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings, and it won for Fellowship of the Ring, the first one, and then they never nominated again for the other two. It was just like, oh, we awarded you, we're done with you.
Right.
Moving on. So I think that might be what happened with Avatar. But yeah, Top Gun, I was like all ready to hear Top Gun Maverick. And then Tar, which I was very happy about because we talked about last week. I was like, I wanted to put Tar in to cinematography and editing, and I didn't.
I kept it in for cinematography. And I actually think I think it could win here for cinematography, Tar, based on this list of nominees. I think I would say like Tar or Elvis would be the top choices, almost more so than All Quiet. And then I think Bardo and Empire of Light come behind in the end. I think Tar could win, though.
I don't know what to do here now that Claudio's not here.
So Tar, like we said, overperformed all season, seemingly in cinematography, it felt like. And I just think the movie is the strongest movie, even though Elvis had more nominations. I don't know. I just think it's
Elvis has been overperforming too in cinematography.
Mandy could easily win. I could see that happening for sure. And it would be like a great way to honor the movie. But again, like we said, are they
I think I'll get other crafts wins before cinematography. But yeah, we need to recalibrate this whole category now.
But yeah, I was very excited to see Tar in there. I think Empire of Light, I will say one thing. Here's a data point on Top Gun, and maybe we should have expected it. At the New York Film Critics Circle dinner, one of my who is someone who's there spoke to Claudio Miranda off the record, and he was like, or he was just like, he was so heartened to have won that award because he said it's not the type of movie that wins awards for cinematography, and it was an unexpected choice. He felt it was unexpected for him, and he was very excited. And looking at this list of nominations, I would say he was right in that it is not, you know what I mean? Like, I think his instinct that it was a surprise that Top Gun Maverick would get recognized for cinematography compared to some more artistic endeavors like Tar, Empire of Light, or whatever.
To be fair, I don't think anyone a year ago at this time thought Top Gun Maverick would be getting 6 nominations.
No.
So, but it does have great cinematography.
It's unbelievable cinematography. It was truly a shocking snub. I would say that's like, to me, that's the biggest snub of the day.
Yeah, this one is the most shocking, like more so than like Andrea Riseborough or anything else.
I would agree, because I think like Danielle Denweiler would be a snub that people were unhappy about, but it was not totally unexpected based on how she performed. But Top Gun Maverick was in every, like you said, it won the most everywhere.
Well, okay, so not to double back to Best Actress, but like we said, Top Gun has won 21 cinematography awards and it got snubbed. So I guess it truly does not matter. Danielle Detweiler won, let me see, because it's just been a 2-woman race in Best Actress, obviously. So she's won, according to Metacritic, 4 awards compared to 20 for Cate Blanchett and 21 for Michelle Yeoh. These are the critics awards like Globes and stuff.
Right.
But I think if we go back to like October after Till's premiere at New York Film Festival, when she was just getting raves out of it, and it felt like she was going to have a lot of that backing from like regional critics too, and she didn't get a lot of wins here,
right?
So yeah, maybe like it doesn't matter because like she didn't win a lot of these awards and she got snubbed, and Claudia Miranda won a lot of these awards and he did get snubbed.
So
but she won the Gotham, right? And then she was snubbed at Indie Spirits. So this was like, there were clues already back in November.
Yeah, I not to double back, but like, yeah, I definitely had her in and out a lot. I took her out for a while, but I think I put her back in after she got in at SAG because I was like, well, that's good that she's getting like the support. But I would have not been surprised if she missed at SAG based on how she had performed throughout the season. And the fact is, like, everyone's campaigning for everything. And like, obviously, Andrea Riseborough didn't win anything. So like, there's no chance for her to win. But like, you think back to the Gotham Awards, Danielle Detweiler didn't attend, and there was no viral moment of her speaking that like arguably helped launch Ki Kwan and Troy Kotzer last year to their steamrolls, right? Because their speeches were like widely shared and like celebrated.
I would say it was definitely the start of Troy's campaign last year, because I don't think anyone really had him winning anything, but I would say Ki was already the front runner and that was just his first win. So it was just like, we're ready to go here.
We're on the train, right?
Yeah.
For costume design, Joyce, the nominees were Babylon, Black Panther, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. A great category. I got 4 out of the 5. Everything Everywhere overperforming gets in for costumes.
I chose the wrong category to add it in.
I mean, in hindsight, it's not a surprise at all that it got in, because it definitely, I always feel that this one, it's
very
like
flashy in your face costumes.
That's right. And it has like the very obvious, like there are memorable costumes from this movie, and that is probably, and it's a beloved movie, obviously, and that's why it got in. But I love Mary Zophres for Babylon, Ruth Carter, obviously, for Black Panther. Catherine Martin is a double nominee this year, right? Because she's a producer as well for Elvis. So,
yeah, and then also a production designer. So right. she does both. Does both for Boz.
But I think Ruth Carter probably winning here again, but maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't say she's as a slam dunk as she was the first time.
No, it's not a lot.
I can see Elvis winning. I can see Elvis winning both this and production design as a pair.
Yes. Let's do that one next while we're here. Production design. Hang on. My list is all messed up. Hang on. There it is. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. So I missed The Fabelmans, Joyce. You had it, I think.
I did. I dropped Black Panther and I put in The Fabelmans. So I got 5 for 5. So
why'd you drop Black Panther for this? When it won previously, and I'd argue the sets and production design is greater in the sequel, even though the sequel's not as good as the original.
Yes, and new sets too. But then I was just thinking it might be unfairly compared to Avatar, and I wasn't dropping Avatar.
No.
So, and then, like we talked about last week, Fabelman's period set pieces, and it's more subtle, but like Steven's films tend to do well in crafts. It didn't this year really, like, it missed editing and cinematography, but it's Rick Carter again, and so I felt like just based on like their resumes and the periodness, that how it's just more different than Black Panther, which is maybe too similar to Avatar.
Yeah.
It'll get in. And then just based on the precursors, like the guilds and everything, production design has been the most consistent category for the Fabelmans.
Right.
So
smart. Nice
I
to
don't
see
know.
her.
I don't know if it'll win, but I don't know if it'll pull a Lincoln upset like it did, Rick Carter did 10 years ago.
I feel like Elvis would probably be in the lead here. I don't
Yeah.
know. For film editing, Joyce, like you mentioned, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. I think I got 4 out of 5 here. Let me look.
Yeah, I didn't have Tar.
I didn't have Tar either. I had All Quiet.
I'm very happy with this nomination.
And again, I think it speaks to the strength of Tar. While I don't think it'll win Best Picture, obviously it was a very strong, it overperformed, I would say here. Too.
So let me ask you this. While the nominations were happening, and especially during the first batch, Everything Everywhere was obviously overperforming. And I was like, oh, Michelle Yeoh can totally win. But then the second batch, we get Tar nominations for editing and cinematography. So I'm like, it's overperforming too. Like there's nothing else that Tar could really get. Like you could say maybe it missed supporting actress for Nina Haas, but like not really. So then now I'm just like, are we back on even ground between the two of them? Like they're both clearly very well beloved within the industry, these two films. And Tar obviously had a lower ceiling for nominations than Everything Everywhere did.
I kind of think Kate is still in the lead. I know people are like want to have Michelle or like hope dictating Michelle's win, and obviously she would be a great winner. And they're kind of like trying to, I feel like it's throwing Hail Marys to get Kate like knocked out of her perch, like by harping on her Critics' Choice Award speech or, you know, like whatever we want to say. But I'm just like, I think in the end, it does feel like she is still the Daniel Day-Lewis of this race, right? Like it's just this like an undeniable There Will Be Blood type movie and performance.
So you don't think even if Everything Ever dominates, Michelle will get swept up in it?
I think Kate would still win. I really do.
I think I would still give the edge to Kate for now too.
If like Michelle wins BAFTA, yeah, then I change my mind, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm not expecting that. And I actually don't even expect her to win at SAG. I think Kate could still win at SAG.
She could, yeah. But I think like just that group and how large the voting body is, I think that favors Everything Everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but so would you, if Tar had not gotten into editing and cinematography, would you still think Kate is ahead?
Probably not. Or I mean, if she was ahead, it would be a lot thinner margin, I would say. They clearly it's like Tar is not as beloved, obviously, as Everything Everywhere, but they obviously love Tar.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like people were thinking this movie would not do well, or you know, or maybe like way back when in the fall, like maybe it could just be like a lone nominee for Kate, or maybe just like 2 nominations. I think you dropped it at some point from Best Picture.
I sure did. Yeah. No, I felt like it was a little more polarizing than it turned out to be.
But no, like they clearly like it. Like once Todd got into DJ, I was like, they love this movie. I was like, I felt so safe with him getting into director after that. I was like, he's the type who would miss DJ and then get into the Oscars.
And like we've seen, and like you said many times, they're not necessarily super sentimental. They're going to vote for what they like. So while like Michelle would be a deserving winner, she's also the sentimental pick here, I think, right? Like compared to Kate. And so
yeah, and I think like a lot of people, you know, do want to see history be made and you know have her be the first Asian Best Actress winner, which would be great, you know. But yeah, I do think they just vote for what they like, and they could just like Kate more, they could like Michelle more. I don't know.
I think it's going to be close, but I do think Kate will prevail in the end because I think it's just like the performance feels undeniable. And there's nothing really preventing the way the movie performed. There's nothing really preventing her from winning. You know what I mean? Like there's still no demerits.
And again, as we've said, like that would be the place to reward Tar.
Yes, too. Exactly right. For makeup and hair, the nominees were All Quiet, The Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. And
I had Blonde in here.
I had Blonde in here too. So we got 4 out of 5. And actually after Blonde missed here, I was like, maybe Anna doesn't get in, but she sure did, so it didn't matter, as it turns out. For original,
would you do The Whale here to win, or Elvis, or The Batman?
I do think in the end, The Whale is the most impressive makeup and hairstyling achievement. So I would probably have it winning. But I think Elvis could make a case too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, The
I don't know.
Whale is like, say what you will about the movie, like the technical achievement of that makeup work is really an impressive work, even if you don't agree with the work.
It's definitely the most obvious.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look, you know what I mean? Like, I think it looks legitimately good. Ethically, maybe it doesn't seem like it's everyone's cup of tea, but from a technical achievement, I think it is. For score, Joyce, this one was again just a little a shocker, maybe here based on what ended up. It was All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, Banshees, Everything Everywhere, and The Fablemans. Women Talking missed, and Guillermo and Pinocchio missed for Alexander Desplat.
Yeah. Everything everywhere. Just the music branch loves this movie.
I was actually more surprised by All Quiet though. Over
I
Women
was not
Talking.
surprised by that much because it just felt like it was something that could get in. Just I mean, it's not my favorite score of
So
these, but
going into this, if you would have told me what are the top two in the nominations, if we had to rank them, I would have maybe said Women Talking and Pinocchio. So now neither one of them are nominated. So will Justin Hurwitz win here as the lone Babylon winner, or will like we go back to John Williams winning like for this score and his like lifetime achievement award, basically?
or maybe they could just do Banshees.
Or they could
So
do Everything Everywhere, right? I mean,
did you hear the person who screamed like yes when they read Justin's name?
I sure did. I was like, did
Not
I
snub
fly out?
this
I was like,
time.
did I fly out to LA for this? Was that me?
I think someone also screamed what during Top Gun's screenplay nomination, so that was not you.
No, I was too busy yelling "fuck yeah" in the car, so I missed that when they said it. But I don't know what could win here. I really do think Justin Hurwitz would be in the lead based on obviously how the score is performed, and it's the most music, so that helps. But Babylon, I don't think performed incredibly well. I think it had 3 nominations. So maybe Fableman's back in the front, or maybe Everything Everywhere.
I feel like Fablemans would just be, yeah, like a default thing. Like, oh, it's John Williams, and we know he's like retiring, even though now they're just like, oh, he's not really retiring, just like
Right.
maybe a little, like half retired. But I also don't know how much they care about length of scores because there's not a lot of score in the Fablemans.
No, and like we said,
It's not bad, it's good, but
and the most memorable song is not his song. It's like a Bach piece. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it would be nice if Carter Burwell, based on this list of winners, I would love to see Carter Burwell win because he's never won.
yes.
So
And I love the Banshee score.
the Banshee score is good. I think Carter Burwell has had better scores, but he has never been recognized for all those great scores. So if he wins, that would be awesome.
I know his Carol score. Oh, God.
Carol or Fargo, any of the Coen Brothers movies he's done, they're just incredible.
Yeah, and 3 Billboards. He was nominated. That was his last one, right?
So
Yeah.
it would be great if he won, and maybe there's a world where he can win. But I mean, they could just go Everything Everywhere because it's a steamroller. Because we could go to song here too, Joyce, while we're kind of speeding through these as we've dragged on here for almost over an hour at least. Song was Applause, Tell It Like a Woman. Congratulations, Diane Warren.
My girl. She
So
did it
happy.
again.
Hold My Hand from Top Gun, Lift Me Up from Black Panther, Rihanna's first Oscar nomination, and Ryan Coogler, an Oscar nominee here, which is great for him. Not To, and This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere, which I was surprised by. Gets David Byrne an Oscar nomination, and Mitski.
So yeah, that I only know one lyric from that song, and that's just like the clip they play when Michelle Yeoh and Kiki Kwan won their Globes when they walked to the stage.
I feel like I have not listened to that song at all. I was like, not after, like, in hindsight, obviously I'm not surprised because it overperformed, but not expecting there. Ciao Papa was, I think most people are expecting, but I guess it was a little too polarizing.
So what do you think Not To can do it?
Well, no, I don't know. I mean, I would like to think it could, but it's a lone nominee, obviously, and
Like it's totally serving Husavik.
It is. It really is. It feels like Husavik all over again because it's like it's not a novelty song, obviously, because it's a legitimate song and it's incredible in the movie, but it feels like the look at us, how cool we are to nominate this kind of thing, and then it won't win. But I don't know what's really stronger to win. I mean, honestly, Everything Everywhere would be maybe is the strongest movie, so you could say maybe it wins there. I don't think the Lady Gaga song or the Rihanna song are strong enough.
No,
It'd be Top Gun though, right? I don't know.
it's what if Diane finally wins? She's like she pulls a Paul Newman and a Spike Lee at your honorary,
It would
and
be
then wins
amazing.
competitively.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what to. I mean, I don't even know what I had in first, but it was like, who cares with nominations?
I think I had
So
RRR in first. I did have Not To in first because it's won like a lot of awards, but nothing from
yeah,
the
but it's also the type of song that they would not award.
correct. So I guess we'll see. For sound, Joyce, this one I think I got 4 out of the 5 because I went down with the Babylon Ship, and I think that's an egregious snub, though not like a surprising snub. But it was All Quiet, Avatar, Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. So good for them.
Yeah, this is the one I slotted in Everything Everywhere incorrectly for. So but I think Top Gun can win this and editing, as so often those two categories have been paired, or just formerly one of the two sound categories.
What about Elvis winning this in editing?
I don't think it would win. I think editing is between Top Gun and Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I could make the case Elvis could win. Like
you can definitely
Bohemian
make the case for
Rhapsody.
Elvis and sound, but I think they might just give sound to Top Gun.
Right.
So
I also think when Bohemian Rhapsody won all these tech awards and Rami won, the rest of the field was a lot weaker than it is this year.
Yes, you mean when it also won editing?
Yes. I just don't like. I don't think they're like Everything Everywhere in Top Gun feel much stronger than anything that Bohemian Rhapsody had to compete against in those categories.
It'd be Black Panther in both. That was when they still had mixing and editing. So
for visual effects, I got 5 out of 5, I believe. But All Quiet, Avatar, The Batman, Black Panther, and Top Gun Maverick.
I had the other Marvel film, Doctor Strange.
We talked about this, and the reason I went off Doctor Strange, even though the visual effects were better, was because I was like, Black Panther's the more beloved movie, and that was the only reasoning. And there we go. So, good list of nominees. I interviewed some of these Black Panther nominees, including Jeffrey Bauman, Joyce, and Dan.
Well, I interviewed Joe Letteri and Frank Peltoid from Avatar and All Quiet. So
wow, way to go!
Yeah,
congratulations.
So this is a congratulations to Avatar.
I think seemingly would be a shock if Avatar didn't win. And then we're left with the shorts, I believe. That's it, right? So we had animated short was The Boy, the Mole, The Fox and the Horse, The Flying Sailor, Ice Merchants, My Year of Dicks, and an ostrich told me that the world is fake, and I think I believe it. And when we did our picks last week, you were like, Google is free. And so I took up your advice and I made some changes on animated short. I ended up getting...
What did you do? Did you get this right?
I got 4 out of 5.
Wow.
I had New Moon in there, which was, I think, one of the ones I expected to get in because I believe that's the Coleman Domingo one, and he was campaigning heavily for it, but it did not get in. I had the other 4.
You thought he could be another Riz Ahmed?
I definitely thought that, yeah. And again, Google was my friend because I was reading about these and also who was behind them. And I was like, oh, obviously, like all of these are like either past nominees, I believe, or like winners in the category previously, or the movie sounded like interesting. Anyway, I got 4 out of 5.
I think I got 5 out of 5 here.
Let me look.
Maybe I got decimated.
Let me look. Hang on. I think you did too. Let me see.
Because yeah, when I did these a month ago, I was
just get 5 out of 5. Congratulations, Joyce.
Yeah.
That's why you end up with 78%, and I end up with 75 right there. That's one of the reasons.
But like I said last week, one of the reasons, like besides just Googling and reading about these last month, I also picked An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I think I believe it, because just the title alone.
Got to go for it with the title.
Yeah.
For live action short, the nominees were An Irish Goodbye, Evolue, Les Pupelles, Night Ride, and The Red Suitcase. And this one, Joyce, you got 4 out of 5.
I got 4, I think. I didn't have Night Ride.
You had Warshaw instead. And in this one, I had 2 out of the 5. I went with Warshaw, The Right Words, and Nakam.
Yeah, I think Nakam was in the top 5, and that was when I was like, I'm not doing that, and I'm doing Ivalu.
It sounded like, I'm gonna Google this quick. It sounded like live action. This is. It just sounded like a kind of movie that would get nominated. Like Nakam was a 12-year-old violin player is caught between a rock and a hard place when he's supposed to carry an attack on several SS officers as part of a Ukrainian partisan movement, but finds out the plan will also endanger the life of his only friend. Felt like the kind of movie logline that would get an Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I just didn't do it because, like I said, I don't like doing the top 5 because I feel like the top in the shorts are the categories that people know the least about and have seen the least. So I feel like the top 5 in these categories calcify because the early predictors just pick like some nominees, and I'm sure some of them have seen some of them. But then like the followers, everyone who predicts subsequently are just like, oh, I don't know anything about these. I'll just predict a top 5.
And then for documentary short, Joyce, I ended up with 3 out of the 5.
I think I got 1.
You got 1. A lot of people were probably surprised by the snub of 38 at the Garden, but the nominees were Elephant Whisperers, Haul Out, How Do You Measure a Year, The Martha Mitchell Effect, and Stranger at the Gate. And I got 3 out of the 5 because I had, in addition to you had Flag Makers, As Far as They Can Run, 38 at the Garden, Anastasia, and The Elephant Whisperers. And I had the Flag Makers and Anastasia as well. But just again, based on titles and filmmakers, I went with, and I was like, oh, these sound like good. 30 at the Garden, I was like, once I read the things, I was like, what are the odds this sports documentary is going to get nominated? And it seemed like pretty low. So that's why I dropped it out. So I got 3 out of the 5 in this.
I was thinking about dropping something for the Martha Mitchell Effect.
I went with that because you know what, people like politics.
Because I was like, but then I was like, maybe if Gaslit were bigger.
I was like, this is to make up for Gaslit.
This is an honorary mention for Julia Roberts. So,
and that's it. Those are the 23 categories, I guess. I don't think we missed anything. So like, this has been going on for very long. But I would say
no one's here anymore.
I mean, they probably are. Maybe just to say what how great we did. I don't know. It's just a great list, I'd say, of nominees. Nothing. Again, we were talking like we were hoping for more wrong. I think. Like I remember when we left off last week, I was like, I feel like I'll get like 60%. The fact that I got like 75% to me feels like it was a pretty predictable year.
Yeah, I always like to be more wrong and to have more surprises, and there were some good surprises today. I would say I liked most of the surprises, like Brian Tyree Henry, Woman Talking in Picture, Top Gun in Adapted Screenplay.
Those were good surprises. I think like the snubs were the snubs, and like we said, like it felt like even when we were doing our predictions last week, it felt like there were in almost every category there were like 4 or 8 or 9 in for Best Picture, but 4 out of 5 that seemed pretty set. And then that last spot was a very flexible one. And I think a lot of the people who got snubbed just missed, I would argue. They'll never release the vote totals, but it just feels like it wasn't like there was like a blowout in any of these categories.
No, they should release the vote totals once everyone is dead. So
oh, that'd be so great. Imagine if they did that like did they ever release the JFK files or whatever? I don't know if I think they keep putting it off.
But they should release all of those things just all at once. They should do that for the 100th anniversary of the Oscars in 5 years for the first Oscars.
That'd be amazing. I guess like we said, like we're not going to make our picks now. I guess we'll do that as a separate episode, Joyce, or our first picks maybe. But it feels like Everything Everywhere will do very well based on the 11 nominations. Hard to imagine something beating it for Best Picture, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, it's hard to go against it right now.
It overperformed in so many places.
Yeah, I mean, I already had it in first. I'm like, it's not.
I had it in first.
Didn't change anything for me.
I had it in first too, but I'm also like, it did even better than I thought. I think a lot of people expected it to get like 8 or 9 nominations. That it had 11 is like just blew out expectations. And so to me, that makes it even more of a Best Picture frontrunner at this point.
Yeah, I would say this is why I don't like phase two, because it's just, now we've just severed off like dozens and dozens of hopefuls. Their dreams are dashed.
Right.
And then now, in a lot of these categories, we know who's going to win.
Well,
So then it's like kind of boring.
We do know, but I do think there are some categories that we're not sure.
No, but like what I mean. It's just like once you're in phase two, it's like you have the nominees, like you're just down to 5 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Then and like you just like we know like what's gonna happen supporting actor. Like the fun was trying to figure out the other nominees.
Right.
Now we're done.
It feels
like the fun was trying to figure out the other. I mean, best actor different because like we still don't know who's gonna win, but it was like we're trying to figure out the 5th slot.
Right.
And then we're trying to figure out what was going on with Best Actress. And now, but we've always known it's between Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. So it's just like everything is just getting narrower and narrower. So that's why phase one is more fun.
It definitely is more fun. It's like when you get to the football playoffs, like this weekend is the NFC and AFC championship games, Joyce. They're running out of games.
I did not watch the Giants and Eagles game because I knew what was going to happen.
So yeah, if I was ranking them right now, I'd say supporting actor and supporting actor locked, Q Kwan, and Angela Bassett for supporting actress pretty locked.
Visual effects done.
I would say best picture is underneath that in the terms of locks. And then I would say best director is underneath that. And then I think best actress and best actor, well, maybe best actress above best director. And then best director and best actor are like the two that I'm like a little torn about at the moment. But everything else feels like it is solidified.
Yeah. And then like, as we move along, we'll have more awards and ceremonies and winners and losers. So then it'll be more clear, which is the whole point. But that's why it's less fun. But I do think we have the nominations early in the Oscar calendar because voting doesn't start until March. The ceremonies on March 12th. So we have a whole month. So things can change because last year after nominations, like Power of the Dog got 12, even though it was always kind of like, can it actually win? Because we know it's like there are a lot of people who don't like it. And then Coda just, broke late after SAG. And everyone's like, oh, this is a nice alternative that made me cry.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, like, it's interesting. It feels like a lot of this season has been like, at least based on what we've seen in years past, like Everything Everywhere was definitely positioned as like the underdog, but everyone did it so early. Like we were already getting like the New York, like Kyle Buchanan doing like the little movie that could piece in like November or October. And it's like, usually that's reserved for now, would be like for Coda or Parasite or any of these other like little movies that could. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to like, I think there's not a lot of room for surprise, I guess. Like it would be like, what would be the movie that would usurp Everything Everywhere?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think it and Banshees are top 2, but I don't think I've never really pictured Banshees winning.
I mean, I'll make the case where Top Gun is second because I think it could win a PGA and the screenplay nomination was big. So I'd probably have Top Gun second.
Yeah, I mean, Top Gun, I think, would play better on a preferential ballot than
Banshees.
Banshees, but just like in terms of just how they've performed overall, I think like the top 2 are Everything Everywhere and Banshees, and then Fabelmans.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think the thought early on was that it was good for, even though like people were hyped about Everything Everywhere, like it was good that it was not really heavily predicted to win yet because it could maintain that underdog status. But now it's very clearly the top dog. So I guess you could see if it's going to suffer any backlash. I don't think it really will because I think people just love it.
Yeah.
So, but that's, I think, the one thing, or maybe, now in like the next 4 weeks, people might watch more of these nominees and discover things. I don't know. It's like I said, like this year is pretty top heavy.
Yeah.
Like we could have easily had 7 nominations or 7 Best Picture nominees if it was the flex scale. There was like a pretty obvious 5 if it were just 5. So
I guess we'll see. This was great, Joyce. It was so much fun. So I guess we'll talk again next week. Talk to you later. Bye.